Hi, I'm Steve Woodmore, and in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to trim a dashcam clip. We're not going to be doing anything wonderful in this tutorial apart from just trimming, which is the easiest and the simplest job, and to do that we're going to be using Davinci Resolve. Now the first thing you'll notice when you open up Davinci is this screen here, which is called the project screen. This is where you give what you're working on a name. A project is what you're doing. In this case we're going to just trim a dashcam clip. That's my project. You can call it whatever you like. You can even call it Fred if you want. In fact, that's exactly what I am going to call it, Fred. So you click new project and type your name in, Fred, and then you click create. Now we've opened the program up, we're presented with our workspace, which at first looks complicated and frightening, but don't worry about it because we're not going to be using a lot of the features here for this simple tutorial. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that our project settings are correct. So we go down here to the bottom right hand corner there. As you can see, you've got a little gear icon. Click that and up comes our project settings. Now in this case I'm working in 1080, so I'm making sure that the resolution is correct. Yep, 1080 by 1920, that's perfect. The timeline frame rate, well, most dash cameras are 25 frames per second, some are 30 frames per second. Mine is 30 frames per second, so I'm actually going to set this at 30. And you've also got to make sure that your playback frame rate is exactly the same as your timeline frame rate. So in this case we need to set that to 30 as well. That's all we need to do here, apart from coming down here and setting this to HDP 30, which is what we're working in. So you just move it up and down until you find the right one, which is here, HDP 30. Now that's how I'm going to be working for this project. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save this out as a preset. That means that I can come back to it again and again and again. I've already did one earlier today and that's here. So to do it, to reload it or to save it, all you do is you click save and you give it a name, or to reload it just click on it, click load, and it loads it into the system so that you're already done. Anyway, we've done that. We're set up for our project. Down here you'll notice you've got 5 options. You've got media, cut, edit, fusion, colour, Fairlight and deliver. Actually that's 7 options, but never mind. We're going to be using none of these apart from the edit screen. Again, I'll come back and I'll cover all of these in later tutorials, but at the moment we're just going to be using the edit screen. So what we need to do before we do anything else is we need to click edit. That's it, we're in the edit screen now. Now to edit our clip, what we've got to do is we've got to import our clip. If you look over here it says media pool. Now we can import our clip one of 2 ways. We can right click on the media pool like that and click import media, and it'll ask me where I want to import from. So I can do that like that. I can do that to edit and bring something in, or what you can do is you can drag and drop by opening up a file, finding the file you want, dragging it and dropping it. Right, what we need to do now is we need to drag it onto our timeline. So we just click, hold and drag it onto our timeline like that. That puts it on our timeline. This is where we can edit it. Now there's a couple of controls here that you need to know about. One is how much of this you can view in the timeline. If you see this slider here, this allows you to either shorten the clip or expand the clip. It doesn't actually change the clip, it just changes how much you can see in the timeline. Again, we'll cover this in a later feature. What I like to do is I like to see my entire clip within a single timeline, so I click this, which is full extent zoom, which shows me my clip from beginning to end. Like I said, again, other features we'll cover at a later date. How to trim, this is the important thing, this is the thing that everybody wants to know. Well, with Davinci we can do it one of 2 ways. I'll show you both ways. The first way is by using the blade. So what we do is we look for what's called our in point, where we're going to trim in. So we can either move the playhead like that to find the point, or we can click play to find the point. And when we find the point that we want to trim, just press stop and the playhead is at our trim point. Now up here you'll see a razor blade. Just click that, then click it where you want to trim. As you can see, it split the clip. Click the arrow, click on the bit we want to delete so that it's highlighted, and then hit your delete key. That's it, it's gone. That's the in point. That's where we start our trim. Next thing to do is to find the out point. Again, you can either move the playhead along the timeline to the bit that you want, or just press play until you come to the bit you want, and then press stop. We'll say just here. Again, razor blade. There's our trim. This is the bit, go back and select the arrow. This is the bit we don't want. It's highlighted. Click delete, and it's gone. That's it. That's our clip now done, and it's expanded it to the timeline, a much shorter clip. Just to make sure we've got it right, we can play it if we want. We can play it forwards, or we can play it backwards to check to make sure we've got the right information there. The other way of editing is a very simple way. You don't even have to use the razor blade or the arrow. All you do is you go to the start of the clip, and you make sure that your mouse changes to the icon that I've got there. Move it to the edge of the thing and it changes to that icon. Drag, click and drag to the point you want to do in, which is there. And then the out point, again the same thing, make sure the icon changes to that symbol. Click and drag to your out point. And that's it. Simple little trim on our timeline. And it automatically deleted the clip for you. Automatically deleted the bits that you don't want. Now, what do we do next? Well, we've done our clip, we've edited it, we've trimmed it, we've got it to the right length. The next thing we need to do is we need to make it into a film. So the way we do that is we go to our deliver screen. Just click on deliver and it changes. Over here we've got all of our settings. So first of all, we need to give it a name. We'll call this Fred 1. There we go, Fred 1. And all this down here decides how we're going to export it. Well, I'm going to upload this to YouTube, and I'm going to upload it to YouTube in 1080p. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to compress it ready for YouTube by going to the YouTube setting here. YouTube 1080p. As you can see, it puts it all down here. I personally prefer MP4 files, so I'm just going to change that to MP4. Otherwise, everything else is the same. Yep, I'm more than happy with that. If you're not going to export it to YouTube, if you're going to export it to say just Facebook, what you can do is you can set it at YouTube 720p. Facebook is only 720p, so even though your video is 1080p, Facebook will only ever play it back at 720p. So if you're uploading directly to Facebook, you might as well just encode it in 720p. Or you can come over here to H.264 and you can encode it for however you want. In this case, 1080 HD 30 frames per second MP4. But like I say, this is going on YouTube, so I've set it all up for a YouTube encode like that. If you're happy with all that, click add to render queue. It's just checking to make sure that you want to call it Fred 1, which we do, and where you want to save it, which we sorted out. So we click save. And if you look over here, it's now added it to what's called the render queue. It still hasn't made it into a video yet. We start that in a minute. If you're happy with everything, just click start render, sit back and wait. As you can see, what it's actually doing is it's turning what we've got on the screen into a full movie. That's it, we're done. That is how you trim a clip very simply and very easy in Davinci.